And taking a look back at Vintage Flying Time, a wartime documentary produced by the de Havilland Aircraft Company, tells the story of the Mosquito, and that's this Thursday at 2:15 in the afternoon on BBC2.
Right, get me one direct debit and one television, please. Oh, and a side salad. Thank you.
Here, mate.
Well, that was quick.
Pays you go, you see, just £22 a quarter.
For more information on the TV licence budget scheme, call the helpline 0272 769 100. That's 0272 769 100.
Marvellous.
New on BBC2, Hypotheticals.
We, the board, have responsibility not just to the pensioners.
I think that I should consult him before you see the file.
And I'm worried I'm being set up.
This man is to be believed. He says he didn't do it.
It probably will go worse for you if you say you had a knife.
Well, if you're the victim, you have quite an ordeal to look forward to.
There were times when children who were bad, naughty and difficult were given a good clip, and that had some effect on him.
The therapy that you're suggesting is when a child is naughty, you assault them and they get better.
Hypotheticals starts with a lesson in crime, next Monday at 7:50 on BBC2.
On BBC2 Now, this week's Horizon investigates a strange and disturbing phenomenon that's left the medical profession in a quandary. For more information about asthma, there's a helpline that you can call on 0345 01 0203, which is manned by medical staff and is open every Monday to Friday between 1 and 9 p.m. And all calls are charged at the local rate. Alternatively, you can write to the National Asthma Campaign, Providence House, Providence Place, London N1 ONT. And if you'd like a copy of the script for that programme, please send a cheque for £2, made payable to BSS, to Horizon, Allergic to the 20th Century, PO Box 7, London W3 6XJ.
Next Monday, as part of the Crime and Punishment season, a powerful new two-part drama based on a police murder investigation, the convictions that followed, and a mother's fight to clear her son's name.
You told Vincent Grass, didn't you? Only you got it wrong. He named your son.
We had nothing to do with it. None of us did.
Guilty.
You don't come here telling me what I should do, all right?
I'm trying to tell you.
Because it's hell in here.
You'll be headline news!
Bad Company starts next Monday at 9 and concludes next Wednesday on BBC2.
Good luck, Mrs. Higgett.
In tonight's film, in 10 minutes on BBC2, Robert Duvall gives an Oscar-winning performance as Max Sledge, a country singer who's hit rock bottom. In dire need of help, Tess Harper provides the tender mercies. Now, Lucinda Lambton provides another insight into the weird and wonderful as she reaches T in the alphabet.
Temples, little buildings that have been whipped into every architectural and decorative style, can be found all over the British Isles, all too often today in horribly heavy disguise.
In the 18th century fishing temple at Bray, monkeys disport themselves in all manner of country pursuits all over the ceiling. They were painted by Adrien de Clermont for the Duke of Marlborough, who bought the island in the early 1700s.
The monkeys shoot, punt, and angle. Well, I'm afraid this one is harpooning a dolphin. In the central panels, two monkeys sail romantically out to sea, serenaded by a third that is blowing a conch, all in a shell drawn by dolphins.
Monkey Island became terra firma because of the Great Fire, when the huge barges that had borne stones up the Thames for the rebuilding of the city dumped all the unwanted rubble here on their return journeys to the Berkshire quarries. A surprise that makes you quite shiver with the strangeness of its history is to be found at Virginia Water in Surrey. Standing beside the vast lake that was created in 1750 by the Butcher of Culloden, William Augustus, Duke of Cumberland, there is a mock ruined temple, a picturesque assembly of classical columns that once stood in deep drifts of finest white sand on the north coast of Africa. They are the great fragments of the ruined Roman city of Leptis Magna, which magnificently flourished during the 2nd, 3rd and 4th centuries, only to be abandoned, neglected and destroyed in the 5th century by Genseric, king of the Vandals. In 1816, the Bashaw of Tripoli was persuaded by the English Consular General to present the Prince Regent, soon to be George IV, with the ruins. After nearly 2 years of toil, this great tonnage of granite and marble finally arrived in England. Now offered as a present to the government, but no one could be persuaded to show the slightest interest as to what was to be done with it all. For 6 years, all these great carvings and columns lay elegantly in the courtyard of the British Museum, until the king dreamt up yet another jewel for his pleasure grounds at Windsor Castle, and he commissioned Geoffrey Wyatt to arrange this temple for him. The whole bang lot was then hauled here on great carts, 16 horses to each column, from Bloomsbury to Virginia Water. This is one of the most extraordinarily unexpected rooms in all of London. If you were given 10 years to guess where we are, you would undoubtedly fail. We're in the Great Eastern Hotel at Liverpool Street Station in the magnificent Masonic Grecian Temple. This substantially sumptuous chamber is sheer, solid joy to walk through, with all its gilded ornamentations and the signs of the zodiac. Sweet brown, the great rays of the sun, and the cloud and the stars and the Masonic symbols. It was built in 1901, and according to the Lowestoft Journal, there was the most grand and sumptuous ceremonial dinner on its opening night, where a Miss Ivor Foster was appreciated, a Miss Alma Jones delighted with her rich voice, a Mr. Charles Froude, the humorist, provoked loud smiles, and a Mr. W.F. Warner impressed with his ability as a zither soloist. It is still in active use today, this wonderful chamber, with the sole light being that great star shining down into a darkened room. This tiny Doric temple is, if you can believe such a thing, a town hall. It was actually built as a town hall in 1765 to add grandeur and distinction to the thoroughly undistinguished practice of electing rotten borough members to Parliament. Gatton in Surrey, which consisted of only a church and one great house, was a borough for 400 years, represented by no less than 2 members of Parliament, One Sir Thomas Copley was elected to the House in 1554 on the strength of one vote alone, his mother's. A temple that is in full glorious use as a temple is to be found most improbably in a quiet side street of Wimbledon. Soaring and spiking up into the sky in brilliant hues amidst the bricks of the London suburb. Outside, the shimmering tradition of Thai architecture is in full bloom, whilst inside, the tradition of Thai mural painting with the life of Buddha has been whipped into a whirlpool of the modern world. It is the only Thai temple in Europe, indeed it is the only Thai temple in the world to have been decorated in this extraordinary way. Above the door, Buddha is about to attain the Enlightenment, but is being attacked by Mara Wasawadi, the evil one, with his vicious army. Look at it all. Let's look for a moment at this two-headed figure. It's Colonel Gaddafi and Ronald Reagan, thundering into view, surrounded by deadly modern-day weapons. One of the evil followers is firing a machine gun, whilst another is peering up at Buddha through a telescope. The earth goddess Vasuntara rides up to the rescue and squeezes a flood from her hair to flood the enemy to the edge of the universe. Heaven is ablaze with celestial beings in the Thursday, Friday and Saturday postures of Buddha as he ascends to preach to his mother. The horror of hell churns below, with the human world of both Thai and English life gathered either side. And Mrs. Thatcher is surveying it all. Legs crossed in a neat blue suit in front of a thatched cottage with an Alsatian at her feet. The extraordinary spectacle stretches out into the distance of the most important Buddhist temples and monasteries in the Far East, to the left of Buddha, and a dreamlike collection of buildings to his right. The Houses of Parliament, the Eiffel Tower, the Taj Mahal, St. Paul's Cathedral, and once again the temple at Wimbledon taking its rightful place in this magical architectural landscape.
To some, the outbreak of war means only opportunity.
I want to hold in my hand lists of how many tanks or lorries we've got, or fly a plane.
It should be realized that women are not good at standing. The fatigue engendered by standing has a bad effect upon their capacity to take in instructions.
You know very well that that's out of the question. The ATS is not a place for respectable young girls.
Harriet Walters stars in The Imitation Game, Wednesday at 9 on BBC2.
Tonight on BBC1, the 9 o'clock news is followed by a special edition of Panorama. New investigations into the tobacco industry have revealed a hotbed of deceit and manipulation spanning 40 years, which conspired to cover up the links between smoking and cancer. A Pack of Lies is at 9:30. The Monday night film on BBC2 now was an Oscar winner for Robert Duvall. Severely hungover and flat broke, he's in dire need of some tender mercies.